Hello, everybody. Today is another episode of the Debunkers Podcast. Here with Tucker the dog. I'm Cole Scouten.
I'm Brennan Roscom.
I'm Jackson Yanda.
And today, on this episode, we'll be talking about the moon landing and how it is real.
One of the main conspiracy theories around the moon landing is in pictures. There's pictures of shadows, but it's not parallel. So people are like, how can it not be parallel if it's in space and on the moon? But actually, a source from Professor Oja says this is on the surface area of the moon, but we can reproduce this effect anytime we want on Earth. You have all seen the phenomenon yourself, where because of perspective, parallel lines appear to be non-parallel. If you are trying to reduce onto a two-dimensional plane, a three-dimensional plane situation, you can make lines do all sorts of weird things. So this is basically saying just because you're on the moon doesn't mean that it doesn't still apply on that would apply on Earth.
Another fun conspiracy theory is another picture with the moon landing with no stars in the background. People wonder why there would be no stars because they're in space. Well, there is day and night on the moon still, and in the picture that they're talking about, it is daytime, clearly, because it's very bright on the moon, and people seem to think that there would be stars out, but since it's daytime, there wouldn't be any stars, therefore, that is debunked as well.
Yeah, that'd be really weird why there'd be stars on the moon during the daytime.
Yeah, during the day there's no stars. That's for night.
I mean, look at it outside right now. Can you see a star outside?
There's no stars because it's day, it's not night.
Thank you.
Another conspiracy about the moon landing is that the astronauts' footprints should still be there on the moon. Well, like here on Earth, which we live on, the footprints are always taken away from wind, the atmosphere, weather, and other living species. But on the moon, shouldn't they still be there? Well, no, they shouldn't. There's no wind on the moon. So, what could it possibly be? Well, it's the rearrangement of lunar sand and grains when objects collide and the moon kicks up dust, which settles across the lunar surface, and that is what covers up the footprints. So that's why they're not there.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating. I'd say probably the most talked about conspiracy theory about the moon landing would have to be, Buzz Aldrin saluting the flag and there being wrinkled and there being waves in the flag. How could that be freaking possible on the moon? Well,
I have no clue how that could be freaking possible.
I know. But NASA, just being so smart and just thinking of everything and making this moment absolutely perfect, they actually made a telescope pole that had an extended top to make it seem like it was waving in the wind. But no, it actually wasn't waving in the wind, obviously. They just thought of it and wanted the picture to be perfect, so it had it waving. And the wrinkles, you might say. Well, Professor OJ said, well, all the wrinkles are there because it's been sitting in the rocket ship for 4 days as they were going up there. Of course, it was all folded up and wrinkled before they got there. Common sense, guys.
Yeah, for real.
Well, you don't really have much common sense if you think that we didn't land on the moon, am I right?
All right.
Another conspiracy theory is that since you can't see Armstrong's camera in the picture that he took of Buzz Aldrin, they were, taking the picture with a different device. Well, that's just not the case. The camera is inside of his suit because they didn't want to end up losing it or having any troubles with it. So he's taking a picture, and you can see his hands on it, like near his suit in a reflection, and it's in his suit, so that's why you can't see the camera.
Yep.
That makes more sense now.
This one.
We're halfway through our podcast, and right now I just got to be thinking this has to be true. They landed on that moon.
Yeah, I mean, with all the facts already given, only halfway through, so many more still to come, there's just no way that they could have faked it, right? There's no way NASA would do that.
I just don't think they had the technology or the, smarts at the time to be able to pull something like that off.
This was broadcasted on national television. They couldn't have recorded it.
It couldn't have been in a studio.
had to be real. The moon landing had 400,000 scientists, engineers, technologists, machinists, electricians that all worked on the Apollo program. If this was a hoax, how would all 400,000 people just keep their mouths shut about it the entire time? There's no room for that.
You got a good point there. Along with that, there was 8,400 public available photos from the moon landing, thousands of hours of video footage, a mountain of Pacific data, and a full transcript and audio recording of all air-to-ground conversations. They even brought back 382 kilograms of moon rock brought back to Earth. These rocks have all been independently verified as lunar by laboratories around the world, ruling out a U.S. conspiracy. And the final nail in the coffin would have to be the simple instrument installed 50 years ago by Apollo. During the day on the moon, Armstrong and Aldrin planted a lunar laser ranging reflector array on the surface, and it's still in operation today. So tell me how you could get something that projects laser lunar ranging reflector array if it wasn't actually planted on the moon.
Exactly. And people also forget that this was in the late 1960s. If people think that this was recorded in a studio or made up somehow on TV just for looks, people forget that it's the 1960s. We don't have the technology that we have today that we could use to, fake something like that today. But it's just way ahead of its time.
Exactly.
That one's burning hot.
We just gave you all the proof. Gave you all those facts. It has to be believable that they landed on that moon. The proof is in the pudding. What do you think?
I mean, you just go down the line. The wind, the footprints getting covered up, the camera in the suit. I mean, those are my top three. I don't know, just going down the line. All the facts, the 8,400 photos. I don't know how you can just...
400,000 employees.
Yeah.
Seriously?
They're not keeping their mouths shut.
Exactly.
Brennan?
I'm just thinking about it. Everything that they use against the moon landing being real just got debunked. Everything that is important, at
By
least.
the debunkers.
Now,
Let's go.
let's hear what Tucker has to say. That's exactly what I was thinking, Tucker. That's a good boy. And that's the end of our podcast, everybody. Thanks for watching. We just debunked another American conspiracy. Cole Scouting is out.
JY out.
Brennan, out.
Peace. Catch you next episode.
See you later. See you next week.
Let the